Welcome to the Ben Barr Sports Podcast NFL Preview Show. No notes, one take, expert opinions, the best chance I have of getting anything right. First off, starting the NFC North, everybody's favorite Minnesota Vikings, at least from up here where I'm at right now. How much are you guys going to miss Stephon Diggs this season? He's my Maryland guy now. He's in Buffalo. I think you guys are going to be just fine because, hey, I wanted Justin Jefferson in an Eagles uniform in the first round, but you just had to ruin my life yet again. Kirk Cousins, solid in the playoffs last season. I like the Vikings' chances this year. Green Bay Packers, speaking of quarterback situations, when are we going to see Jordan Love? Enough of the hype. We're not going to see him until 2022, but still enough friction there from the weakest 13-3 team that I've ever seen. That's a direct quote from Joe Skrzyzewski. In Chicago, who wins the Trubisky-Foles quarterback battle? It's going to be Nick Foles in November, the only time when he's ever good and not in a Jaguars uniform. We already saw him with the big money last season. And for Evan Hunt, just for you, how much time does Patricia and Stafford get in Detroit? Stafford, got to trust him. It'd be a mistake to get rid of him at this point. Patricia, we'll see more about that. You know, these Belichick assistants don't know what they're doing once they leave New England, so I don't know. I'm going to pick the Packers to win this one, 10-6 tiebreak over the Vikings. You'll see that a couple times in this preview show. Is that good enough for a first round bye? I don't think so. I'm going to put Green Bay at number 3 in the NFC, considering, hey, there's 7 playoff teams in each conference. Let's not forget about that. Moving to the NFC East, Eagles. My take on this track meet of wide receiver, we're trying to be the Chiefs so bad, but who's going to play offensive line and linebacker for the Eagles just to keep Wentz healthy and to assist that front, which is fearsome, but we'll see how much Jalen Hurts plays. Which team will use 2 quarterbacks more? The Eagles or the Bears? An interesting enough question if Carson can stay healthy whatsoever. You know, it's only the 5th year of saying it. Dallas, again, breaking my heart on draft night, getting CeeDee Lamb. Really wanted him. Hey, Jalen Reagor's good, but you never know. And that offense is going to be lights out. Got to apologize to Mitch Kaiser for stealing Dak Prescott in the Farmer City League fantasy draft. But is the defense good enough? They must have enough confidence because they just cut HaHa Clinton Dix. I don't know how that's going to hold up. So, Washington football team, everybody. Who's going to have more starts between Alex Smith and Dwayne Haskins? Already Haskins starting in week 1. And what do we think of year 1 with Ron Rivera? I think he's worth a couple of wins, but not enough for the football team to make any noise of value this season in the playoff chase. But, hey, maybe they take a couple steps forward. New York Giants, when will Saquon get any kind of help? He's my guy from Penn State. He deserves so much better. And also, how can they not get a better coach with pedigree than Joe Judge's the New York Giants? We've seen Bill Parcells have so much success there. You think they'd be a model franchise that would get a high-profile hire? I would have thought, shoot, even Matt Rule went to Carolina instead of New York, and Ron Rivera is down in Washington, that place that has all of its own problems that I don't have any time to go over. We already covered them, whatever. Same story in the NFC East. It's going to be a tie record, 10-6 and 10-6. I'm going to pick the Dallas Cowboys to finish just in front of the Eagles. It was a close race last year that the Eagles won, but hey, with this new playoff setup, I think that would be a great matchup in the first round of the playoffs. If you put Dallas on the 4 line, the Eagles will be right there at the 5. And of course, that would set up, I can't do the math right now, Green Bay and Minnesota also in a 3-6 matchup in the NFC playoffs. How about that? I'm jotting it down. I'm not going to forget it. Put it on a post-it note, just like the Inside the NBA guys. Moving along real fast, NFC West. Defending conference champion San Francisco 49ers. Will they be able to do it again? Are they still going to not rely on Jimmy as much in the playoffs to throw the ball? They just paid Kittle. He's going to keep doing what he's doing. It'll be interesting if we see another dimension for the 49ers as they go wide receiver in the draft lead, Brandon Ayuk, out of Arizona State there. What impact is Jamal Adams going to have, by the way, in Seattle? Is it going to be a reincarnate of the Legion of Boom? We know that Earl Thomas won't be going back there, I'm sure. taping it a little bit ahead of time for the broadcast, but I think it's a safe bet that Earl's not coming back. A little one-finger salute the other time in Seattle. Was the trade and paying a safety? I know Jamal Adams is awesome, but is it a position in demand? Is it going to be worth it? We'll have to see for Seattle. It'll be effective right away, but in the long term, what's it going to look like? Speaking of looking like, what about the Rams offense now without Todd Gurley and Brandon Cooks? All they have for Jared Goff right now is a couple of running backs. You think, hey, in theory, Gurley's hurt again. Maybe they'll step up in fantasy for me a week or so at a time. Remains to be seen there as well. A lot of question marks. Arizona, they can be very exciting with DeAndre Hopkins coming over in that offseason trade from Houston. What was Bill O'Brien thinking? But the Cardinals don't really care about that, do they? They can be an exciting team. You could even see the Rams being buried in last place in this division, not because they're bad, but because this division is that great. So, going to take the 49ers to win this division and get a first-round bye. They're the 1 seed again. And I think there's going to be a little more separation from Seattle this season. I want Russell to have an outstanding year because, my fantasy numbers, come on, just drafted him. So we'll see if they can get that 7th seed as we continue this one-take preview, because you can't forget about the NFC South, all right? I'm going to leave the division slot open, obviously, and one more wild card slot open as we preview this division. Tampa Bay, all about Brady and Gronk. How much do they have left in the tank? But they've got so many weapons. I'm glad I waited this long to get Fournette in this preview. But, he's only going into his 4th season. Is he a problem? Is he getting broken down more? Shady McCoy can catch the ball, but also how much does he have left? Is it more just about having pass protection from a guy that was drafted in top 5 by Jacksonville? That's Fournette. He was supposed to be a legend at LSU. What's going on? Where's the Tampa Bay offense going to rank? I think it's going to be in the top 5. New Orleans. I know they're going to get there, okay? I'm going to take 2 playoff teams out of this division. But how are they going to avoid another playoff letdown? Come on, there's no way that it was a great scene at the strike when the Vikings won, but New Orleans should have won that game in regulation. All the fans have left to do down there is complain about either bad calls. Were they? Every team has a chance to win the game in the playoffs. No matter what, you got 60 minutes, and they just keep blowing it. What's up with Alvin Kamara right now? Is he going to have another great year after this early little holdout that he had now that he's back in practice? What does Christian McCaffrey do, by the way, for an encore in Carolina? Is it going to be a repeat performance? Everybody's picking him number 1 in fantasy leagues except for the Kent McKay Memorial League, where inexplicably 6-point passing touchdowns for quarterbacks in that league. Get along to go along. But yeah, McCaffrey, another big year. What can we expect from Teddy Bridgewater? Can he open up this offense anymore with Coach Rule down there? The guy that didn't want to be the Giants head coach. Thank goodness, let him be in the NFC South. All right, so we're going to take New Orleans as the 7th seed. That's right, Breeze is getting older. I know Brady's getting older as well, but I like Tampa Bay to start off firing. So, oh my gosh. It's so easy to forget about Atlanta, Is this a make or break year for Dan Quinn? What can Todd Gurley do? Boy, his knees are not holding up. I don't like the Falcons. I need them to get better because I have a signed Matt Ryan jersey that is, it's not appreciated in value right now ever since 28-3. We need them to do some more, but it's not going to be this season. So, NFC playoff picture, which we'll get back to at the end of the show. Top 7 seeds in this order. Remember, only 1 first-round bye this year. San Francisco 49ers get it, and in the first round, there is going to be a ton of juicy division matchups. Number 2, Tampa Bay versus number 7, New Orleans. Number 3, Green Bay versus number 6, Minnesota. And number 4, Dallas against number 5, Philadelphia. Crazy stuff. Let's move to the AFC. The West is going to be an outstanding division to watch. A lot of firepower there as everybody tries to catch up with the Chiefs in the arm race, not only for the Super Bowl, but for this division. It's going to be wide open. For the Chiefs, not really a question mark for this season, but how will we see them manage this salary cap going forward? You know, with Patrick getting paid, Kelsey getting paid. Finally, somebody on defense getting paid with Chris Jones. I know Tyreek's gotten a deal already, so it will be interesting to see there. Denver, very compelling. Look at the weapons they have on offense. Drew Lock, we'll see if he can prove it this year as the guy, because look at everybody at his disposal. Melvin Gordon, Phillip Lindsay in the backfield. Pass catchers like Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler, another Penn Stater, Deshaun Hamilton, do it again. Noah Fant at tight end. But another big question that people need to be asking, are they going to be missing Chris Harris Jr. in that defensive backfield? Because I hope for the sake of the Broncos that they can light it up on offense. Similar, though, to the Cowboys, will it be a bunch of shootouts? Or is this defense not getting any older, even in another year? LA Chargers, Tyrod Taylor, is he going to get the Baker Mayfield treatment again? Oh, you're a starter for about 5 seconds. Let's just get the kid Herbert in this time. And are they the team that's the most suited for no fans? I know that take and question has been asked tons and tons of times, but it's my turn to ask it. Las Vegas Raiders. I think this is the team that will not be miscalled as much as the San Diego Chargers were last season. The Vegas Raiders, I think it sticks. Silver State, it's bad, you know what. Is this the last chance, though, for Derek Carr, because John Gruden just getting way too quarterback happy? You know when he had like 6 at a time in Tampa Bay? And will he fall in love yet again with Henry Ruggs and Jason Witten, who is Witten? Obviously not the youngest tight end in the world, right? And not the best broadcaster ever. Good question. Who's the better broadcaster between Booger McFarland and Jason Witten, that all-star team? And was Henry Ruggs the wrong wide receiver pick in a draft that saw so many go in the first round? Doesn't really matter to me because I didn't want him, and CD was gone as well. So, AFC West. Kansas City, clear. Number 1 seed again in the AFC. Not last year, but they're going to get it this year. All right? AFC East. Cam Newton, starting quarterback named, team captain named. What do we expect? He's already bringing Bill Belichick out of his shell, seeing that Subway commercial recently for hoodie sleeves. So we'll see what the potential is there. Stephon Diggs, what's he going to do in this Bills offense? Will he be more of a deep threat just because Josh Allen can throw the quarterback or the football over the mountains? Tua, will he be good to go for 16 games? It's the Carson Wentz question. And how good can he be? New York Jets, how effective can this tandem be? Le'Veon Bell, is he always love of the game, or is he just too patient? And Frank Gore, by the way, Frank Gore Jr. debuting for Southern Miss, I believe, in college football this season. Unbelievable. And does Adam Gase last this season? He hasn't always been the most endearing coach to the players. I take Buffalo to win this division. We'll see how I seed it in about 5 seconds here, because the Ravens are up next, the clear number 2 seed in this conference. How much does the defense lose with Earl Thomas being gone, or is it addition by subtraction? Colin Cowherd picking them to go 16-0. I don't know about that, because there's no tiebreaker that you can have with 2 16-0 teams between the Chiefs and the Ravens. How difficult is it going to be maybe for the fans and this team's psyche in general, because they can get it done in the regular season, but Lamar hasn't gotten it yet in the playoffs. I know it's early, losing to the Chargers and then Tennessee last year. That was a curious case. I know they were hot, but still. What's the ceiling in Pittsburgh for this new set of triplets they have in Big Ben, James Conner, Juju Smith-Schuster? Better dudes than the last couple of pairs, but I don't know yet. Jury's still out just because of Big Ben's documentary. I have to finish watching it. That's on YouTube. Cleveland Browns. Kevin Stefanski hire. This is something that kind of ties in with the Giants hire. I thought that New York was capable of getting a better guy. It's the opposite for Cleveland. We'll see what Kevin can do. And is this the best uniform revamp in sports history? Just because the Browns were so bad before and they're getting back to their roots of the Jim Brown era, I really, really like it. Although the Chargers ones look sick, the Chargers jerseys always look sick. Baltimore taking this division and the 2 seed, and they'll have to play in that opening round, so we'll get an earlier chance to see if Lamar will get it done this year. And Joe Burrow, I hope he sets the league on fire in year one. I don't know. Will they threaten for that 7 seed? I hope so. And how much patience do they have for a Zach Taylor coaching this team? Do they say, hey, we have the number 1 pick. It's a short leash. We want results right away, even though we're Cincinnati and we've been awful for a very long time. Who knows? AFC South, the AFC finalists that absolutely nobody picked. Tennessee Titans. Will we see the playoff Titans away again this season? Or will we just see a bunch of guys that got paid and they're just hanging out? Talking about Tannehill, I think Henry will be a workhorse back for sure. Houston, what hangover is there left from blowing it against the Chiefs last season? What culture does Bill O'Brien even have after that ridiculous trade of getting D-Hop away? We already learned that Deshaun Watson is going to be looking for a shorter deal than Patrick Mahomes. Sure, he can go and get a big deal twice, but at the same time, does that call his loyalty into question in Houston? And boy, over the hill, Indianapolis, Phillip Rivers, can he still get it done? Or I hope they ride Jonathan Taylor for the sake of Joe Skrzyzewski's mental health and my fantasy team, a sleeper running back in his rookie year. Something to look forward to as the Big Ten drags its heels to get its return back going. And Jacksonville, what does Minshew Mania do for an encore? Oh, boy. Tough call there for sure. But remember, you still have time for that Bud Light giveaway. If you draft him in the first round and have a great fantasy season, drink up, buddy, because Leonard Fournette's gone, and pretty much all hope for the Jacksonville Jaguars this season. They might have Dabo and Trevor Lawrence at the end of this year. So, AFC set up. I have KC winning the West at 1, Baltimore Ravens winning the North at 2. NFC South, I think Tennessee's going to hold the momentum and grab the 3 seed. And then, finally, the Buffalo Bills will be at number 4. So, what do we do for these wild card spots in the AFC? There's a ton of very fantastic up-and-comers here, but I'm going to pick at least a rematch between Buffalo and Houston. Will happen in the first round as a 4-5 game. I know there's a lot of trendy picks, and despite losing Hopkins, I still think Houston is going to be solid this season and enough to pretty much hold the pace that they've had for a little while here. Then, we'll take New England. Belichick's going to find a way back into the playoffs for another trendy matchup from last season. Remember, the Titans obviously sending Tom Brady to Tampa Bay after that loss. Logan Ryan, pick 6 to end the legendary Patriots career in red, white, and blue. Now he's in red and black and pewter and white. That's going to be weird, even though I bought the Gronk jersey already. Tennessee hosting New England, barring a bubble in the 3-6 matchup. And so, who does that leave for the Baltimore Ravens in the 2-7 game? This is a tough one because there's so much potential across this conference for that next extra team. Remember, full playoff field last year, 6 teams would have booked it at the end with New England, but this is going to allow the Denver Broncos to make the playoffs. Baltimore and Denver, who could forget that 2012 Mile High Miracle game? But it's probably not going to be enough to unseat the Ravens in the opening round. We'll get to that in a second, but the award winners, I'm going to take Patrick yet again for an MVP as the Chiefs continue to play an absolute video game on offense. Defensive Player of the Year, I'll take Nick Bosa, other number 1 seed, getting the hardware in that department. Real quick look, there you go for the award winners. Patrick, offensive and MVP. Nick Bosa out of San Francisco, because we're only doing this in one take with no research whatsoever. Playoff picks, just to recap. Number 1 seed in the AFC, Kansas City, getting the bye. 2-7 Baltimore, Denver. 3-6 Tennessee, New England. 4-5 Buffalo, Houston. NFC, San Francisco, the 1 seed. And a bunch of trendy, awesome divisional matchups. Tampa Bay at 2, New Orleans at 7, Green Bay at 3, Minnesota at 6, Dallas 4, Philadelphia 5. Let's get right into it here in the AFC. Baltimore exercising those postseason demons that Lamar Jackson has had early in his career. They advance past the Denver Broncos. Tennessee and New England. Tennessee shows how it's done again to set up a possible revenge date, Ravens fans are hoping in the next round. Kansas City will get the winner of Buffalo and Houston, and I like what the Bills are going to have this year. The Bills avenge that brutal overtime loss last season in the wild card round to the Texans and send the Houston Texans in another offseason of question marks, thinking, what on earth is Bill O'Brien going to do next? In the NFC, San Francisco awaiting who's going to advance out of Week 1. Tampa Bay and New Orleans. I think Brady gets it done again because he does what he does. Green Bay at Minnesota. This could be a tipping point here because not just for you guys in the Magic City, but I want to see the turmoil of when on earth is Jordan Love going to get to play and how much does Aaron hate this team. I'm going to pick the Minnesota Vikings to take down the Green Bay Packers. That'll set up a matchup with the 49ers in the next round, and we all knew what happened last year, but we'll get to this year in just a second. That leaves the winner of Dallas and Philadelphia going down to Tampa Bay. Unbelievable. I'm going to take the Eagles to get past the Cowboys there. Even a divisional weekend, if you can still call it that, with the 7 teams nowadays. Kansas City over Buffalo, too much firepower. We might see a similar thing as last year in the division. Maybe the Bills sustain some early momentum on offense to get an early lead, but Kansas City just trampling everybody. And we will get that matchup that we wanted to see probably last year in the AFC Championship. I think Baltimore gets it done this time around. They don't make the same mistake twice against the Titans. Tampa Bay taking out my Eagles. I'm not that much of a homer. Probably Dallas is enough of a reach of a pick, as they will be my pick to win the division this year. San Francisco over Minnesota in the next game. I think it will be closer than last year's game, but still the 49ers are just too good. Kansas City at Baltimore, legendary showdown there. I think it's going to be the Chiefs in a very, very close game. And then Tampa Bay over San Francisco. I think finally the lack of production from Jimmy Garoppolo will show up here, and Tampa will advance to the Super Bowl to meet Kansas City, where the Chiefs will repeat as champs. Real freaking out on a limb here, but those are my rapid-fire NFL predictions for this season. Nobody's going to get hurt all year long. Everybody's going to have a smooth road, and there's not going to be any stoppages. Bunch of bold stuff there to end the show. Thanks for listening, guys. Enjoy NFL football.